Okay, hello guys. This is a very frequent question that I get from time to time, so I decided to create a video to make it easier for everyone to follow. So basically, the question is how to create a widget that is going to accept multiple Xpaths and being able to update those Xpath bags to Bizagi. Okay, so I'm going to create a demo where I'm going to capture an address. In the address, I'm going to capture the street, the number, and the city. All of those three are going to the data model. Okay, so here is the Bizagi widget editor. So I'm going to create a new one. Okay, this one is going to be called my address. Okay, I'm going to put it in a category. Okay, so here it is. Okay, so this is the basic interface. So I'm going to create a new attribute. Okay, but first I'm going to draw the three boxes very quickly here. So I'm going to erase all of these. Okay, and I'm going to create three inputs. Okay, so input one is going to be an input type text. Okay, I'm going to call this one street. Okay, I'm going to put another one. This one is going to be the number, and finally this one is going to be the city. Okay, so three text boxes. I'm going to add them to a div. So I'm going to create a div in here, which is going to be the main container of these ones. Okay, so and I'm going to add this tree to that div using the append to. Okay, so here is the input number, and finally the input city. Okay, and I'm going to return the div. So let's do a quick test that this one is displaying the three inputs. Okay, so it's starting. Let's give it a second. I want to see the console to check if I'm putting something wrong. Maybe that something is wrong. Let me check. Okay, I'm appending. What am I doing wrong? Okay, this one append to. Okay, no, everything looks good. Let's see. Oh, sorry. This one is trying to add a class, so I'm going to put the class here. Okay. Okay, let's see. Okay, here are the three inputs, so I'm going to put in here avenue, 1, 2, 3, and the city is going to be Madrid. Okay. But at the moment, if I press save, it's going to lose the data because I'm not storing the data anywhere. So I'm going to create three different Xpaths. Okay. So the first one is going to be this one. I'm going to edit this one, and this one is going to be the Xpath for street. Right. I'm going to call this one street, and it's going to be simple binding attached to a text. Okay. So I just rename this one. Okay. And I'm going to create two more. Okay, this one is going to be number. I'm going to call it address number, just because I don't want to have any conflict with other attributes that are called numbers. So I'm going to put it as simple binding again. This one is going to be text. Now finally I'm going to create another one, which is going to be address city. Okay, this one is going to be city, and again this is going to be simple data binding, and this one is text again. Okay, so if I go to the JSON definition, you will see that in here I have three different Xpaths. Okay, Xpath street, which is an Xpath to simple. Next is Xpath street default, something internal, address number, and address city. Okay? And in the visual, you will see that I have street in here, address in here, city in here. So I'm going to reorganize these ones to make them look better. So this one is going to be next to the other one. What I'm missing here, this one goes here, okay, and this one will go here. I'm missing a comma here, okay. So that's important because otherwise you will not be able to see the address. And finally, you will see in here the value. Should not change this one. This one is pointing to the Xpath street. I'm not going to change this one just yet. I'm going to leave it as is. Okay, I'm going to change this one and change this one. Okay. So basically, what I'm going to do is a very simple thing. Okay. So this one here is the Xpath value of the address, and this one is the Xpath value of the address. Okay. But as you can see, the Xpath street is slightly different, so I'm going to match the two new ones. Okay. So they are going to work exactly the same way. Okay. So this one is the Xpath street. Okay, so the other thing that we need to do is to create another attribute in here for each one of the Xpaths. This one is going to return the Xpath as a text, right? So I'm going to put just the Xpath here. Okay. And I'm going to put the address city just next. Okay. Now, we have the address city in here, and as you can see at the moment we have two different address cities in here, which is wrong. We should have only one. So I'm going to fix that. I'm going to remove this one. I have the address city, the address number, and I have one new here. Okay, so I'm going to put the address city Xpath. Okay, so basically we should have a pair for each one of the Xpath attributes. We should have the one that is type Xpath and one that is type Xpath value. The one called or type Xpath should have the Xpath like this: design, the name of the attribute, and the name of the. And this one is hard-coded is Xpath always. Okay. And when it's evaluating the value, it's going to be Xpath value, and it has this JSON structure embedded in this. Okay. So we have address number Xpath, address number which is going to be the value, address city Xpath, and address city which is going to be the value of the city. For the street, we will have the value and the Xpath. Okay. So I'm going to remove this one because, no, actually this one is required, sorry. The Xpath is required, so I'm going to actually remove this one. So these two are going to be hard-coded because they are required by Bizagi, Xpath and value. Okay, the Xpath and the value both are going to be pointing to Xpath street. Okay, and I'm going to make all the properties even. So this one is going to be Xpath street as well. Okay. So as you can see, the three attributes at the moment, the three Xpaths, are exactly the same. One for the Xpath type and one for the Xpath value type. Okay, the one with the Xpath type is just this structure here, which has the design, the name of the property, and Xpath. The one with the value is always this JSON structure, which has the Xpath and the design, etc., etc. Okay. So we are going to test that this one is not breaking anything, so I'm going to start it. At the moment we are not doing anything with the Xpaths, but I just want to be sure that nothing is wrong. Okay, cool. So now we have Xpath, value, address number Xpath, address number, address city Xpath. Okay, so we are going to use this within the JavaScript implementation. So in here, we are going to assign the value to the property value. Okay, you remember that Xpath, the street was pointing to the value. Okay, the number is pointing to the address number, so I'm going to copy this one just to be sure that I'm not doing anything wrong. Okay, so this is the number. So cell dot input number val is going to be properties dot. Okay, and finally we have the input city, which is going to be pointing to address city. Notice that I'm using in this case the values and not the other one, the ones that are called Xpath. Okay, I'm using the values. The reason for that is because I'm assigning to these inputs the value of the calculated field in Bizagi. Okay. Okay, so far so good. And now we are going to use another function here, which is called collect data. Okay, this always receives a map. Okay, and this one is going to be called when Bizagi is collecting the values from the controls. So every time Bizagi press, when you press save or when you press next, is going to actually execute this collect data to collect all the information about the control. Okay, so we are going to use this one to assign the different values. Okay, so here is the trick. We are going to put something here. So basically it's going to be the value, for example, of the street, right? So if I put in here A, it's going to be an Xpath, and the widget is going to be hard-coded to an Xpath called A, right? That's what that's not what we are looking for. So what I'm going to do is use, in the first case, is going to be Xpath, right? So in here is going to be self.properties.xpath. Okay. The second one is going to be address number Xpath. And the third one is going to be address city Xpath. Address city Xpath. So in here is going to be input number, and in here is going to be input city. And pretty much that's it. In the first section, we are retrieving the values and put it in the control, and in the second section, in the collect data, we are going to retrieve the values from the controls and assigning them to the Xpaths stored in these attributes. Okay? So let's test it. So we are going to execute this one. I guess that nothing is going to happen so far. So we are going to test it later in the Bizagi Studio. Okay, so we did something wrong, so let's check what is wrong with this one. I'm missing something somewhere. So let's see. The city, properties. Okay, property is not defined. Oh, sorry. Somewhere I put property instead of properties. Okay, here it is. So I'm going to fix this one. Okay, this one is looking good. So we are ready to test it in Bizagi. So I'm going to download this one. It's going to be called my address. And now I will go to the Bizagi Studio. Okay, so I'm going to create a very simple process to test the address. A simple address. and I'm going to put one activity here, which is going to capture the address. Let's save this one. And we will need to have a data model where we are going to store the address. So I'm going to create 3 attributes in here. One is going to be the street. The other one is going to be number. And finally, address number. Okay, and finally this one is going to be address city. Okay. Perfect, so we have 3 attributes there. Our data model is ready. So now we are going to define the form. For that one, we require the widget to be uploaded. So I'm going to the user fields screen. And I'm going to add the widget that I just created, my address. Okay, so here is my address widget. Press OK, 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 and then define the forms. So we are ready to use our widget. So I'm opening the form and I'm going to drag and drop my control, which is from here, address. Here it is. And I have 3 different Xpaths in here, street, number, and city. So I'm going to select street, address number, and finally city. Okay. We selected our 3 Xpaths and our control is basically ready to go. So we have the street here, address number here, and address city. So I'm going to test it right now. I'm going to press play here. Okay, so here is my new process. So simple address. Okay, I have in here the avenue, 123, City Madrid. And I'm going to press save. Okay, so something wrong. This is storing, but it looks like we used the wrong values in the wrong place. So let me fix that one. Okay, so address number, address city. Okay, and in here we input the address number, address city, input city. No, okay, this is the one that is wrong. This one is using address number instead of address city. So I'm going to fix that one. Okay. So let's download the new version, and replace it in Bizagi. Okay, so basically what I did is just fix the problem, download the PWJ, and upload it to the user screen once more. So if I press play in here, I can check 1, 2, 3, Madrid. I press save in here, and it's storing the values in the proper place. So if I reload the screen, all the values remain there because they are basically stored properly. Basically, that's it. We managed to create a widget that has 3 different Xpaths, each one of them pointing to a different attributes, and they are storing the values back into the Bizagi database. So let's recap very quickly. Okay. So the first thing we did was to rename the Xpath, and we renamed it as street, Xpath street, and we renamed the text to Xpath street as well. Okay. We create 2 different properties called address city and address number, both that are typed simple data binding. Both of them are text at the moment. You can use number if you want, but we are using texts. After that, we went to the my address JSON, which is the widget definition, and we search at the bottom for the three properties that we have: the Xpath, which is the main Xpath attribute, okay, and we saw in here address number and address city, but we were missing the attributes type Xpath. We were having only the values. So now we have three different ones. So we have to create two new ones typed Xpath, and those Xpaths are pointing to the Xpath attributes address number and address city. Okay, where are those two Xpath defined? In the design section in here, we have the address city and the address number, which are Xpath to simple number. Bear in mind that if you try to change them in here, you are going to overwrite whatever we did in the JSON. So after modifying the JSON, don't use this section in here, otherwise you are going to lose your changes. Okay? The next step was to create the three inputs. So we created three inputs in the getGeneric_control function, in this one, and we just create a container where we are going to put the three of them. And we also created the collectData function, which I said that it receives a map, and with that map, Bizagi is expecting to receive the values for each one of the Xpaths. We can put in here the Xpath hard-coded, or we can use the properties that we just created for that. Okay, and each one of them is going to receive the value of the input. Okay, so finally, after that, we downloaded the BWG file, loaded in Bizagi using the user fields option, add and update. Okay, and we just defined our data model based on the three attributes that we want to store. Finally, we went to the define forms and linked these three Xpaths, or these three new properties, to the Xpath where we want to retrieve and store the values. And that's it. Actually, we can do a very quick test in the database just to be sure that they are stored in the proper place. So I'm going to check for the name of the database. So the name of the database is this one, Bizagi 10. And in here we have a table called Bizagi 10. Sorry, simple address. So in here we should have a table called simple address. Here it is. I'm going to select. It should be empty at the moment because I didn't press next. So I'm going to press next in my process. And if I check the data on the data again, you will see that there are three values in here. So I'm going to create a new case, and I'm going to put in here main street 789, and this one is going to be capital city. Okay, so if I press next, I should have another address in here, which is this one. Okay, that's it.